You're listening to Podcast PXN,
a video game podcast,
delivering player experience news.
Let's go! What's up, guys, and welcome to Podcast PXN, episode 284. I am one of your hosts, Daniel Prindle, aka Dan is DTM on Twitter, and I am joined over Discord by the Nintendo aficionado and hardcore casual himself, Roshan Warner at Roro.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. You are still our artist extraordinaire. I don't care what you say.
Okay.
The host of Large Popcorn and video producer at The Gamer, Christian Macias at ISO Christian.
Rest in peace, Oregon.
Oh, rest in peace, Oregon. I guess Oregon's dying today.
Yeah. And my Discord Nitro ended already, too.
Oh, that's sad. And the reformed Tarkov Teletubby and my fellow Spartan Gage Dempster at Gilbo Biggins.
reporting for duty, sir.
Damn it. Thank you to everyone watching us live and participating in the chat. Just as a reminder, we are live each and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on youtube.com/@podcastpxn and twitch.tv/podcastpxn as well. The topic of the show this week, guys, is our Assassin's Creed Shadows impressions and thoughts from what we have seen thus far, reviews.
And played.
Yeah, yep. And played, in Christian's case, as well as Digital Foundry deep dives. We got some info to go over there as well. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So, before we get to our two impressions and Christian's hands-on impressions, let us discuss the review scores. The review scores are out for Assassin's Creed Shadows. Doing well for an Assassin's Creed game. It's 82 on OpenCritic. Actually, I think it dropped to 81, and then 83 on Metacritic, unless it dropped again since then. But overall, pretty good reception, considering Assassin's Creed Mirage was in the mid 70s, so a little bit better experience there, it seems, from reviewers. And then we also got some Digital Foundry analysis here, which Shinobi actually highlighted the PS5 Pro enhancements because it actually seems like pretty substantial what Ubisoft did for the PS5 Pro version of the game, which seems exciting to me that some developers are starting to actually utilize that a bit better. So they put in here the PlayStation 5 Pro version features RTGI, Ray Traced Global Illumination at 60 frames per second, which is only available on base PS5 and Series X at 30/40 frames per second. So get the full fidelity plus the full frames. Image quality and resolution are seemingly the same as PS5, but the addition of RTGI is a game changer, quote unquote, to visuals and an enormous difference, also quoted. It has increased resolution in quality mode, and PS5 Pro also adds ray traced reflections in quality mode, though not really a transmorphic. This isn't Transformers. Transformative difference. There we go. And it also has a balanced mode at 40 frames per second with 120 hertz supported displays, and is a higher resolution on the PS5 Pro. So some good news for the PS5 Pro owners out there. And I think let's jump into our impressions and thoughts on the game. I think overall, in terms of graphics, while we're on that subject, this looks to me, from the stuff that I've seen thus far on it, it looks to me like one of the best looking Assassin's Creed games in terms of visual style and graphical fidelity. So I'm excited to just jump in for that sheer purpose alone, but maybe get into that in a minute here. Anyone else have thoughts on visuals before we talk about gameplay and that kind of such?
I think it looks really good for an Assassin's Creed game.
Okay, I can jump in. I sent like a VM on Twitter yesterday, regarding some of the clips that were going around from Digital Foundry and other videos. And I remember saying something to the effect of like, this game is gonna get compared a lot to Ghost of Tsushima for a lot of reasons, but one of them is like, graphical fidelity in the world. And I mentioned in that VM that like, in some ways, I think 2020's Ghost of Tsushima looks better than this, but in some ways, Shadows is looking a lot better. Never once considering the fact that the SKU that I was playing is on a base like launch version PlayStation 5. I've now seen clips of the PS5 Pro game, and that is actually night and day. If there's any case to be getting a PS5 Pro, it's like starting now with these AAA games, because the version that I'm playing does not look like the version that I'm seeing on the PS5 Pro like footage that is posted online. So much so that like, okay, I can see why some of the like Ubisoft jank is like so prominent, and like why I feel like the third party aspect of it isn't like super impressive, because I'm just not playing the best version of the game anymore. And I figure way more people who are like doing this for like, their job with larger outlets like, your Eurogamers, your IGNs, they do have access to PS5 Pros, and that might play some hand in how they enjoy the game. So yeah, in terms of graphical fidelity, the clips that I've seen look stunning. It does not look like that on my PS5 regular version. Not even close. Credit to Ubi.
Yeah, I think that's maybe where part of my impressions came from, is because I was watching a lot of the PS5 Pro footage, and yeah, seeing them side by side, there's absolutely a clear difference between the two, and maybe is indicative of, Ubisoft maybe isn't the best at optimizing their engine for platforms, so they need the extra horsepower to make this game look visually. I think it looks visually stunning on the PS5 Pro version, which I didn't realize was that stark of a difference. I would agree with Gage. It looks good for an Assassin's Creed game on the normal platforms, but I think the Pro version definitely looks like really good, especially the lighting. Like the lighting from the sun through like the trees and foliage, it looks really, really good on the Pro version. But I guess gameplay wise, how are we feeling about gameplay? I guess Christian, you've actually played it. What kind of thoughts do you have on the actual gameplay of it?
Yeah, please feel free to interrupt me like literally at any moment, just because I'm going to be bouncing around my impressions versus what like reviews are saying. So, it's a great time to like just interrupt me with things that you've seen and your previous history with. You guys have played more Assassin's Creed games recently than I have, so your feedback is absolutely like important to me to hear how it reflects that. A couple of weeks ago, there was like a tweet that said, "Are video game scores too high?" It's a joke, I don't think that's largely true. But it also is kind of true. AAA games tend to score fairly high, so much so that like now when you see a game that is like around the 70s range, people like to think of that as like the mid version, because like that is kind of the average game scores. Like there'll be high 70s, like low 80s, for various reasons. But I think there is a little bit of a AAA tax. And then I mentioned on Twitter that like I think this is a good game, a good RPG game, trapped inside like an okay at best Assassin's Creed games. And what I mean by that is like Ubisoft developed a really big and meaty open world And if you are wanting to get lost in another AAA open world game, you're going to get so much out of it. But if you're wanting more of a traditional, like, Assassin's Creed game with a strong narrative, and I guess not anymore, but like a previous Assassin's Creed game with a strong narrative and emphasis on movement mechanics and assassinations, you're going to be probably disappointed. I think the way this game, in terms of like the open world, is realized, it does not leverage movement mechanics, like specifically the parkour, kind of at all, which I think is a real bummer, because I think that's where the game of like the gameplay of Assassin's Creed really, really shines, and something that I was like talking with Gage about. Like, I am nostalgic for a game I never played because the movement mechanic when I see Assassin's Creed Unity looks so fucking good, and that's just missing here. I'll stop there because I want to hear your guys' thoughts on maybe like Valhalla or Mirage, or what's the other one? Origins.
Odyssey.
Thoughts on Odyssey. Yeah, thoughts on those kinds of Assassin's Creed games.
Yeah, I think me and Gage have talked about it a bunch off air as well. I think that we are now in the position where we have two very different Assassin's Creed experiences within the franchise now, and you have the RPG Assassin's Creed games like Shadows, like Valhalla, like Odyssey, and then you have the more traditional games like Mirage, like Syndicate, like the original Assassin's Creed games. And I think what you're saying about the open world and it feeling like, this isn't really like an Assassin's Creed game, I think it's the same exact thing people were saying about Origins and Odyssey and Valhalla, and that's that it's a good RPG, but it's not really an Assassin's Creed game. It's kind of just taking that name, so to speak. But with that being said, it's not like this is a completely different experience. Like, you're going in and you're not an assassin climbing rooftops and assassinating people and fighting with swords and that kind of stuff. But yes, there is a completely different focus on this kind of experience, which personally, I really enjoyed Odyssey and wasn't that big on Origins, and Valhalla I enjoyed, but then never finished because I didn't really, nothing really grabbed
It's big,
me.
right?
Yes, and that as well.
Yeah. This is why I'm finding the rhetoric online so fascinating. And people, like, a lot of bigger outlets are kind of captioning their like Twitter reviews with like, "This is the best Assassin's Creed game of the recent bunch." And while I'm because I've played around 20 hours, when I'm reading that, and granted, this is coming from someone who has not played the recent run, I'm like, sure, this is probably true. And by that, it's like, maybe this is the least bad version of them, because I don't think it's like particularly really strong at like a couple of different things, even though it's perfectly adequate at a lot of them. Like, I'm still getting a lot of enjoyment, which is a really interesting way to straddle like how I feel about a game. On the RPG front, dude, like, the gameplay is solid. They've built a strong foundation with Yasuke, who you don't play as that much until way later on. Naue is fantastic, but it's also trapped in an RPG system where like it's loot based, as Valhalla I think was as well, and then the other one was as well. So like, even though I'm like, let's say level 11 or 12, which is slightly stronger than the base levels of lots of enemies in my area who are like level 10, I don't have the proper gear to like do a bunch of damage against them, or I don't have enough defense in my gear, so like now it takes 2 hits and I'm dead by stronger enemies. And like those kinds of things I find odd in an Assassin's Creed game. It doesn't feel particularly strong to me in that regard. One note on performances that I've seen go around is that people weren't like super high on the narrative of the game. I'm hit or miss with it. Like, there's enough strong moments here, but like it does kind of peter out after. There's like two openings. There's the prologue, and then Act 1 feels like a second opening. And people were kind of talking about the pace being kind of poor, not a lot of things kind of grabbing them in the beginning, and then the performances being kind of flat. After about 2 hours, I switched VOs because the Portuguese VO is in Portuguese and then Japanese audio is in English. I was like, well, I'll just do Japanese audio. And suddenly it feels much more akin to something like watching a Shogun TV show, where like now it isn't flat anymore. It's a similar performance, but there's enough like history with a Japanese person can give the weight of the performance something that's a bit more like stoic and can ride that line between like honorable or maybe like doing something that's a bit more like revenge driven, just with like minor little inflections that I think the English cast kind of feels a bit more flat in. So that's just a heads up. You're going to be getting like lots of subtitles anyway with the Portuguese audio. So if you don't mind subtitles, maybe consider switching it to the Japanese VO, because I think nowadays VO is really, really good in Japanese.
Very interesting. As people know, I hate fucking reading the captions. So I don't know. We'll see. One interesting thing that I feel like, from everything you're saying, Christian, I feel like, in everything I've seen, I feel like I'm going to enjoy this about as much as I did Valhalla. I feel like it's going to be on par with that, it seems. And not that that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's just kind of like it is what it is. And what's so interesting to me is Mirage is objectively, I think, a less perfect game, but I think that I enjoyed Mirage more than what I'm going to do with this game, if that makes sense. Because Mirage is much more akin to the original Assassin's Creed.
It's a tighter
games.
Experience, right?
Yes. Exactly. I was thinking the same.
Much more linear. Yeah. And maybe that's a good thing that we're going back and forth as well, because there are different audiences that get satisfied from one or the other, because now the game after this one is supposed to be the one that is Assassin's Creed Hex, I believe, which is supposed to be more linear again. I mean, is that a good idea to continue to switch back and forth? I don't know if that's like good for the health of the franchise, or if that will like continue to like make fans divisive between the two, because one set of fans doesn't really love the one set of fans doesn't really love the other, and I don't know.
Can I say something that might excite you a little bit?
Sure.
One thing that I found really surprising is their approach to and I don't know if the other ones did this, so you'll have to tell me if they did. One thing I'm finding really interesting about this game is they want an emphasis on exploration. So it's an open world Ubisoft game, but it feels less checklisty because there are no direct map markers unless you turn on that setting when you first start the game of like, I want the path to like go there. The default is like it's more exploration focused. So the way you like approach an objective is like, you have your little quest menu and the like you press the select or the touchpad and you open up your objectives. And you can click on the one you want. And all you get is information of like where this objective could be. It's like 3 bullet points. It'll say like they're in this prefecture, they're near this town, and then it'll give you a direction. They're either north or west or south of this town. And so, like, when I was doing a side quest, I ended up going into this, like, small town outside this kind of castle area. And my thing said that, like, they're at this waterfall north of the town. And so I opened up my map and I saw that there's, like, the town meets at, like, where a river splits into 3. To the east is where I rode in from, so I know it's not that way. To the west leads out to another way, so I know it's not that way. But then up leads towards the mountain. So I start going that way, and then like as I'm riding my horse that way, I start seeing minor divots in the land, like little tiny little waterfalls. And then I suddenly see a big waterfall, and I'm getting closer. And then now it comments and like, oh, this must be the place where like I was hearing about. I'm like, okay, this is kind of an interesting way to do exploration. Now I'm like having to be more immersed in the world, and I'm finding that kind of exciting. The other thing they add to that is scouts. So you can kind of build people into your base, and you'll have more scouts, and you can send scouts into an area on your map by hitting like square or X, and you can kind of search like a radius, and you can do more scouts to search a bigger radius, but you only have a limited supply per season. The other thing about this game is that like it's not just night and day cycles; it's also seasons. After a couple of days, it'll change to the next season, right? In sequential order, so that spring becomes summer, summer becomes fall, etc. And you'll rebuff or restock your scouts, and so you can kind of choose how many to send depending on like how soon the next season is, stuff like that. So it's kind of an interesting way to do exploration. That is what I'm finding most interesting about Shadow so far.
Interesting. Yeah, that does make me a bit more excited to actually explore the map, because one of the things that made me love exploring the map from Odyssey was something not like that, because obviously that takes it to another level, but like you open the map in Odyssey and you see all the like islands that are in the middle of the water, and you're just like, I wonder what's there, and like you go there and you find a cool thing there. Like that's what made me like Odyssey's map, was just being able to explore all these little areas. Now Odyssey was fucking massive. The map was absolutely ridiculously huge, but I enjoyed those moments of like exploring those things. So that does sound interesting, what you're saying.
Again, I'll say that like the con to this is like, again, the movement, like mechanics around each of the places doesn't really feel very good, because it's an open world RPG, so everything the fields and like tree lines are all beautiful, but like horseback riding only gets me so far. Sometimes I want to like be on foot and stuff. And then you'll get into a town, and most things are like shacks 1 story high, and even sort of like the temples and the castles maybe have a bit more verticality to them, but most of them are like 1 story high, and they're kind of off center from each other. So like you're not really jumping from one to the next. You're kind of like going from the character is like almost magnetic to the center of a rooftop. So she'll center from one to the next. And you don't get to, there's not a lot of verticality. You don't get to climb around a lot. There are like big pagodas, but you can't climb them because of the way pagodas are. Like you can't like go from underneath and then jump, a couple of feet behind you. You have to use a little like grapple tool. So it's just like using the same grapple tool to go up over and over again. And then you can't jump off anywhere because there's nothing near you to like grab onto. The design is really weird. Like it doesn't feel like I can do a lot of things with like, there's an encampment with a bunch of enemies, and you can use your eagle vision to like see where they're all at, but I'm only 1 story above them, and like there's only so much stealth I can do in that regard, which is kind of a letdown. So if you're looking forward to that kind of aspect of Assassin's Creed game, you might be like it feels a little bit too restrictive.
Gotcha. Interesting. Anybody else?
I heard something about like a canon mode versus like a,
yes,
I guess, choice-based mode. Did you get to choose between either of those, and which one did you choose?
Yeah, I mean the beginning, before you even start the game, it asks you a bunch of stuff like what kind of experience do you want. So I didn't want to do canon mode. I wanted to color in my character the way I wanted to. It feels like I'm doing the canon mode. Like I don't know, but there are some like cool side quests of like, how do I say this? Some of them feel a little antiquated. Like there's obviously like, this is the good guy answer, this is the bad guy answer. But some of them are like, okay, I'm doing a tea ceremony and I have to pay attention to how the tea ceremony works, because I'm going to be tested by this lord. And now I'm in the tea ceremony, and I have a choice between like turning my cup to the left 2 times or turning my cup to the right 2 times or not turning the cup at all. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of fun. Like I think canon mode would have like taken that experience out. Because, I had to pay attention to like the way the tea ceremony works in order to actually do the tea ceremony.
So explain to me, what is the purpose of canon mode? Because like these games are not really like, these games are disconnected from one another. So what, I don't understand the purpose of canon mode.
I guess they have like a story in this game they consider the canon version. Like this is the
that seems
real
silly.
version of the game.
Yeah.
And you can just experience that.
Huh.
I was just gonna say it's like Life is Strange, like how there's an ending that the players can get to, but there's a universal ending that the people who created the game see as the true ending of the game. But I agree with Dan. It's like it's weird to do that for this type of game, I guess.
Right, because it's like it's natively like a one-off, you know, like Life is Strange has sequels, so that makes sense to have a canon ending, but like this is just, it stands alone, so like I'm just confused as to what, unless it has like implications on the modern day story of Assassin's Creed. I don't know what that looks like in this game, so. Christian's just giving me a look. So I'm assuming it's that. Any other
Can I say something? Can I make fun of the weirdos online real quick?
Okay, sure.
People were freaking the fuck out that Yasuke's in this game. A black guy in my Assassin's Creed game. Oh no, right? People were being really weird about this. You start playing the game, and you get like 20 hours deep. You don't even fucking see Yasuke except for the one time in the beginning. You know what I'm talking about? Sorry, you guys, you don't know. All I'm saying is like this very much feels like this is Naoe's game. Yasuke is in it. He's a side character. Naoe is the one that like the plot centers around, and it's good. I can't believe people were freaking the fuck out calling this non-binary BUY because, you know, a black guy's in it. Get real.
Which is silly because there's been protagonists of Assassin's Creed in the past that are black, so that doesn't even make sense why people are freaking
or
out.
like any person, like the original fucking assassin, what's his name? Altair, Middle Eastern, fucking Connor is Native American. Come
They're
on,
very
guys.
diverse characters. Yeah.
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 Climate
in fact,
so different.
Ezio's Italian. That's the fucking worst.
Oh god.
Insane.
Are you planning to pick up the game when it releases, Shadows?
Are you talking to me?
Anyone? I am. I was talking to you, Dan. Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, Gage and Row. Fuck you guys.
Yeah. I pre-ordered. I'm one of those dumbasses that pre-order because.
Where'd you get it? What did you get with it? What statue did you get?
Exactly, Ro. Exactly. Ro knows what I'm about to say because the Assassin's Creed wall over here, it can't end.
Can't end.
There you go.
It will end when Ubisoft goes bankrupt.
Well, that's a whole other issue. I hope they don't go bankrupt before Hex because I'm very fascinated what
Hex
they
does
do
sound
with that.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Salem witch trials, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, but at the same time, I don't know if I'm not excited because of it's Ubisoft doing it. I'm just kind of excited because of the time period. But
right.
I still think there's good opportunity there to do something cool.
Put me in something where I can fucking run around and parkour, man. What are we doing over here?
Right.
Salem witch trials? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do?
Well, they
jump around the trees like Connor
again?
again?
Or away from the witches.
Did you play Assassin's Creed 3? Because there's a lot of.
Of course I did. Yeah, I did.
There's a lot of
that's fine.
Like climbing in the trees.
It'll be the
stuff.
same type of environment, right? You could have all those English houses stacked up on each other. There could be some parkour. I see what you're saying though, where it's
in
like
the 1800s.
The theme of the right. It's gonna be dark, religious themes, and it's like, yeah, but what if you could sprint through that? It's like, okay.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right. That is Assassin's Creed Shadows. It's a game. It's a good game.
It is one of the games of all time.
It is. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Jesus. It's a good game. Not a great game. Not an amazing game. But it's a good game for some solid points.
I think it is a solid game. I think it is a very solid game.
There you go. You heard it out of Christian's mouth. It's a very solid game.
Somewhere between a 6.5 and a 7.5. I haven't finished it, but that's how I'm feeling.
So you're on the lower end.
Well, compared to like IGN Brazil, I guess I'm regular IGN Eurogamer.
Well, they have.
I mean, yeah, I like you scroll down a little bit and like it seems like most people are around the 3.5 to 4, which is a 7 to an 8.
There you go. All right. Let's move into the PXN news of the week. Ashley Birch has some thoughts on the AI version of Aloy we talked about last week. And she had a long video that she talked about it. So just to give you a transcript here of what she says. I saw the tech demo earlier this week. Guerrilla reached out to me to let me know that the demo didn't reflect anything in active development. They didn't use any of my performance for the demo, so none of my facial or voice data, and Guerrilla owns Aloy as a character. So all that said, I feel worried, and not worried about Guerrilla specifically, or Horizon, or my performance, or my career specifically even. I feel worried about this art form. Game performance as an art form. We are currently on strike. SAG-AFTRA is on strike against video games because of AI. Because this technology exists, because we know that game companies want to use it, we're asking for protections. So currently what we're fighting for is that you have to get our consent before you make an AI version of us in any form. You have to compensate us fairly and have to tell us how you're using this AI double. And I feel worried not because the technology exists, not even because game companies want to use it, because of course they do. They always want to use technological advances. I just imagine a video like this coming out that does have someone's performance attached to it. That does, I think the transcript should say doesn't, right? No, I don't know. That does have someone's voice or face movement. And the possibility that if we lose this fight, that person would have no recourse. They wouldn't have any protections, any way to fight back, and that possibility. It makes me so sad. It hurts my heart. It scares me. I love this industry and this art form so much, and I want there to be a new generation of actors. I want there to be so many more incredible game performances. I want to be able to continue to do this job, and if we don't win, then that future is really compromised. Well said.
I don't think that's a possibility of it happening. It already is happening.
Right.
To famous people, but just regular people on the internet as well, because there are no laws, and people are getting their lives ruined and their likeliness taken advantage of, and all this horrible stuff. But yeah, I hope they can fight for it. Because, like she said, the companies definitely want to use this. I'm glad that they didn't use her performance and all that kind of stuff, but I just think it's so wild that they didn't ask. I guess they don't need to ask for permission. She did make that clear that it's Aloy, it's the character that they own. But I just find it so weird. It's like they just told her afterwards, like, "Oh, we're doing this." I don't know, but again, they didn't use her performance, so they don't really need to. But it just feels weird to me.
The most depressing thing about this was the quote. Guerrilla reached out to me to let me know that the demo didn't reflect anything that was actively in development, which is the least reassuring thing that you could possibly say, because that just tells you, reading between the lines, they will continue to do shit like this.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they're not just doing it for fun. It's not like a little weekend hobby for them. This is going to lead to something. I don't know. I mean, I think it's pretty clear what this is leading to, but I don't know. This is it's kind of depressing. And I commend her for being so professional, and I guess if you're a voice actor, you kind of have to be because you still want to work in this business, but what a tough line to ride where it's you kind of have to at the same time keep connections and business contacts, but also you probably have the urge to fight for the future of your profession. I don't know. It's depressing.
Yeah. Sorry. And I think it also comes down to us as gamers have to recognize this kind of stuff and decide whether we want to support this or not. And at the end of the day, if the publisher starts seeing people not buying games that are doing these types of practices, then maybe they will learn. Obviously, that's tougher in practice than it is to just say. Especially for games we love, for instance, the finals has AI voices. They're great. I think that they sound great. It fits that world. But do we think about those types of things when we're playing those games? We're I mean, technically we are supporting that type of thing, whether or not we directly support it.
It's getting scarier and scarier to like discern what's real or AI sometimes on the net for sure. This instance reminded me of two quick things that I don't see on QuickBite, so I don't feel bad mentioning it now. This was, one of them we talked about a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
I think I might have missed it, but Microsoft unveiled a generative AI model called Muse, where the AI predicts controller inputs and is like building the game based on the actions that's happening. And then I'll add to this as well. Ark, the game, got in some real deep water, pun intended on that one, because they unveiled their latest DLC, Aquatic, with zero gameplay. It was an entirely an AI generated video with an AI narration and all AI characters, all AI environments, and it looked bad. And so, to Aloy's point, is like, it's not just the profession of the voice actors who are helping build the game, but like all aspects of it. Like, are we really going to get better products by letting these generative models build what we think is good? I don't think the answer is yeah. But clearly it's not yeah, because it's humans that are like a generative AI model cannot carry the empathy that a human person can, and it's that human quality that I think makes memorable experiences that we all like to play. Sure, like we said before, there are use case practices of like what is the other AI I'm thinking of?
I'm not
Is it
sure.
what Dan mentioned earlier?
No, things like, when you think about back to the original Spider-Verse, where like, AI helped them with not matching frames, but it helped them produce frames in an image that they had already drawn, and it was like almost like a predictive model where they helped them do the animation aspect of it once they had already drawn the major things like that. AI as a tool, as opposed to like complete
Creation
generation of content, I think is
mm-hmm.
You would think such an easy line to draw, but it's much cheaper for these companies just to continue fucking trying to shove this down our throat, and I'm not part of it. I know you got thoughts on Copilot being used on. It's not for me. Like I saw the demo of like the Xbox AI, like, oh no, my Overwatch character is chosen. I'm going to ask the AI who I should choose next. And it's like, that's just not for me.
That's not for me either. I was just making the point of that kind of stuff I think is inconsequential compared to like entire games being made. And I
disagree.
I got what you were saying about outlets struggling, especially smaller outlets, but I feel like that's been happening for many years now, and well before the AI situation. I feel like that's just an issue with games media as a whole.
I'm more so also talking about like the capabilities of using our fucking brain. Like, things are getting way too easy. Like, there's such a stark decline in the United States because ChatGPT is so rampant that kids like just don't know how to like read or write anymore, because you can use a fucking computer to input everything and get your answer, to the point where like, really, you're not gonna like discern like what kind of character you can choose in your fucking Overwatch game. Like, we have to start drawing lines, man. And that's, for me, that's one I will not be crossing.
Right.
Who knows? I probably already have in some regards, and I didn't even know. But scary out there.
For sure. Yeah, I think we're all on the same page though, that we don't want to see more generative AI stuff. So
yeah.
All right. Let's move into the other news of the week item, which is the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion remake. Wait, that might be announced sooner than later, and it may be coming in April, according to Nate the Hate, who is a famous leaker. Seems to be accurate when he posts stuff. He tweeted to say that current plans are for the reveal and release of the unannounced Oblivion remake to take place in April, with a minimal gap between the two, and a shadow drop is possible. VGC's Andy Robinson also rubber stamped the claim in a tweet of his own. And obviously, Bethesda and Microsoft have not commented thus far.
How are you feeling about this, Dan?
I mean, I'm interested, but like I've said before, I'm not a huge Elder Scrolls fan. Like I enjoyed Skyrim, but I've never been like a massive Elder Scrolls guy. However, a remake of Oblivion does sound interesting because I know a lot of people love Oblivion. So I'll definitely play it. It's just I can't get as excited for this as I would if they said Fallout 3 remake is coming out next week or something. Right. You know what I mean?
Right. I'm curious. I'm curious to know what this remake and like it'll be a good. I think this will be a good judge of how excited we should get for a hypothetical Fallout remake because we'll see how they go about it. Are you redoing it in Unreal Engine 5?
Of course they will.
Well, okay, or are you using?
Oh, I'm sorry. No,
Creation Engine
Creation.
2? I was gonna say this. So, are you gonna try and make Oblivion feel like a sort of refreshed version of Skyrim? Is it gonna feel like its own game, just using the base sort of plot line? That's kind of what. So I'm excited for it, but not because I'm an Oblivion fan. I'm excited for it because I think it's gonna give us an indicator as to how we can expect future Bethesda remakes / refreshes to go.
Yes.
He's so smart.
In terms of remakes and refreshes, I agree with you, but future games, I don't know that it's going to be indicative because
no.
Yeah, because BGS isn't making this. I'll be interested to see what developer is making this because obviously that information isn't available. Because maybe that plays a part as well. If they have zero experience with Creation Engine, I would imagine that's going to probably be an Unreal Engine game if they don't have any experience with Creation. But
yeah, that's a good guess too. Well, and then if it comes out and it looks gorgeous and it plays well, then sign me up for a Fallout New Vegas remaster and done in the same way, right? But also, I think it could be useful that if it comes out and it's completely jank and it has that Unreal Engine 5 sort of rough around the edges to it, then maybe does Microsoft for the next refresh, assign a team to get familiar with Creation Engine or something like that. That could be interesting too.
Oh, I have an idea. Why don't we assign Obsidian to a Fallout game because they're very familiar with Creation Engine. They made Fallout New Vegas.
You're making too much sense, Dan. Let's take a step back.
What if the Avowed team makes a New Vegas remaster and then Outer Worlds 2 comes out and then the Outer Worlds 2 team immediately starts working on another Fallout spinoff?
You love teasing your friends.
Oh, I'd love that.
What if Avowed was good?
It is good.
I haven't played.
Jesus.
It's so easy.
Good game.
It's so easy to bait you sometimes. I feel bad.
You fucker. That's because I have passion.
It's true.
That's true.
I'm passionate.
You still have your inner child. The joy of life.
Yeah. We should all be more like you, Dan.
I just spit on my screen. Jesus.
I wish that was your screen, dude.
Oh my god. Yeah. Here we go. All right. Let's move into the quick bites. Don't forget to sign up for the Jump Ship beta right here. And if you don't know where here is, it's at jumpshipgame.com. Sign up.
I'm just saying, in case someone, Gage, probably forgot to sign up for this thing.
Yeah, I think I signed up.
Oh my god. This is the one that that looks fun?
Yes.
Like the Sea of Thieves and Left 4 Dead thing? Okay. What's it called? Jump Ship beta.
Oh my, click the link. There's a hyperlink.
Jumpshipgame.com. I think I already signed up.
Scrolling, dude.
I'll look it up in the yellow book instead.
I think I already signed up, but I did it again just in case. It let me do it again, so.
Sign up for closed beta. Look at this.
All right. Yahoo! Nintendo. Nintendo is opening a new Nintendo store in San Francisco, set to open on May 15th, It is the second store in the U.S. to open up.
The first one is in NYC.
Indeed. Bro, you got to travel down there.
Still 0 here in Canada. Love it.
Better start petitioning for one. Yeah. All right. We've got some Split Fiction news. Got 3 pieces here. Split Fiction has officially sold 2 million copies in just 1 week. That comes on the back of last week us talking about it sold 1 million in, I think, 24 hours or 48 hours, one of the two. So it sold another 1 million since then. That's pretty incredible. Great job, Hazelight and team on that.
Fuck the Oscars.
Fuck the Oscars. That's right. Joseph Fares. But Joseph has also been talking about the studio's relationship with EA. And he's actually like, every time he talks about EA, I kind of laugh a little bit because he's always very positive about them. But I guess his experience specifically has been positive with his studio working with EA. So that's interesting. Essentially, he said that EA has been fully supportive of them as a studio, and they have already said that they are officially working on its next game, which is exciting. Another game on.
Yeah, he said he was like, I forget what this specific tweet said, but he was like super hyping it up already, like how insane his next game is.
Yeah.
Which is exciting because I think people are really, really into Split Fiction. I mean, they make fun games over there, so we need more of these guys. And if they're just making way more of them at the cadence they are, like once every 2 or 3 years, something like that, I think it's a better industry for us all. So cool shit.
I wouldn't know because I haven't played it.
Me either.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
But you got really into It Takes Two with Gage.
We got really into. We played one mission. I'm waiting for either of you to take me up on it.
You're playing it with Gage, huh?
Yeah, we're playing It Takes Two, but we played one area.
And I'm nothing to you, huh?
No, it did. It did mean something. I'm just saying I'm looking for somebody to keep going. I'd like to finish
all I'm saying
so I can
is
play
if I
Split
play
Fiction.
with you, Dan,
yeah,
Gage would get mad at me saying you're cheating on him.
Correct. That's correct. Yeah.
I just want to finish.
I know my place.
I just want to finish. I just want to finish the game so I can play Split Fiction and then finish that. You know. Nobody wants to sit down for 3 hours with me to finish it.
Listen, if there's one person who could do it, I'm throwing my hat in the ring. Or do you want Gage, who's like, I'll be right back, and then like he goes away for 15 minutes, comes back high, and then plays for 45 minutes. And is like, we'll play a real game now. I'm just saying.
In Christian's defense, Gage, we did finish Halo 4 very quickly. 2 sessions, I think.
2 settings. Yeah, 2 sittings.
You know what?
We had Ninja Creamies together. It was bomb.
I bet you.
I'll be right back.
Know what? I bet you this podcast would be a tight hour if I wasn't here either, huh? You know what? Why don't I just do everyone a favor and fucking
stupid. You need to hold Lynn hostage and play with me and Christian. We all are in the Discord together. You and Lynn play, and me and Christian play all at the same time.
Ro's literally right there, Dan.
Well, yeah, but Ro doesn't play video games.
I don't play video games.
That's
Everyone knows that.
I mean, if Ro wants to do that, I'm 100% in for the 4 of us to play Split Fiction at the same time. But that's on Ro.
That's on me. I need to stay up a little bit later.
That's overrated.
Not fall asleep.
You wake up tired in the morning. It sucks.
You do it every weekend. What do you mean?
You're right.
Glenn's saying, can I get an amen for Christian? There you go. Also, we talked about Hazelight's next game. The last piece here. Players have already won a trip to see Hazelight's next game for beating a hidden laser hell level in Split Fiction. Very cool that they have this. Let me see. What does Joseph say? Joseph says, congrats to these two for finishing the secret challenge Laser Hell and Split Fiction. Very impressive. I will keep my promise and invite you both to Sweden for an early look at our next game. That's very cool.
That's crazy.
Very, very cool.
All
Could have been
right.
us.
It could have.
No.
Could have.
Do we take?
Do we take what?
I don't know. Gage was saying something. I
Oh,
interrupted.
do we think there's a correlation between having somebody who's extremely passionate about games and the fact that he keeps making games that are good?
Yeah.
Do you think if I'm a publisher, I should let passionate people lead studios and leave them alone to do their? Do you think maybe that's no? That couldn't be.
That's crazy. Yeah. It just might work.
AI is cheaper.
Yeah. AI Joseph Fares.
Oh, no, don't know.
All scores.
Just kidding.
Don't give them any ideas.
It's the repo text to chat. Fuck the Oscars.
Yeah.
Forget the Oscars.
All right. Warhammer 40K Space Marine 3 is officially in development after the success of the second game. We also got a little bit more information as well that says it's an all-new immersive campaign and multiplayer modes and innovations that will redefine the standards of third-person action. That's like a standard line right there if I've ever seen one. We'll take the genre to new heights by introducing large-scale battles that are even more spectacular. It's likely years away from release. Obviously, it's probably just started development. New missions, upgrades, and enemies are being worked on for Space Marine 2 as well. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't hear that soundboard, but I didn't hear it. I saw you press something, but I didn't hear it.
I didn't do a soundboard.
Oh. Okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense then. I didn't hear that
It's a
either.
little-
Is that just
It's an emoji.
Oh, it's
It's
just
an
an emoji. I'm so trained that once I see that, like I'm waiting for the sound effect.
You hear it? Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We also got a look at Rainbow Six Siege X that has been announced officially coming on June 10th. We got a decent look at it. We have redesigned maps, dynamic objectives, new animations, and free access for new players as well. So I guess making the game free to play. There you go, Rainbow Six Siege X.
I watched a deep. I didn't watch a deep dive. I'm sorry, that's a lie. I watched a TikToker, like show off like 3 minutes of like all the changes, and I don't know, man. Like what? 10 years later, this is what we got. Fucking when you jump off a table. When you walk off a table, you no longer just drop at a right angle. You have momentum. Like that's it.
Yeah.
This is the whole, I don't know.
Let's
I'm being a hater, of course, but
let's just make Rainbow Six Vegas 3. Go back to Vegas. I love that game.
That would be cool.
Number 2.
I did see a video of Vegas 2, I think.
Yeah.
It was a mix of third. Yeah, it's a mix of third person and first person, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
That game looked cool, man. I also saw a lot of Ghost Recon on my feed. People are like really nostalgic for that era of gaming because I think there was like a certain attitude and like games had a certain feel to them. They all felt like unique and different. They were all doing fresh things, even if it wasn't like a slam dunk every single time. It was at least a direction. And now games are kind of like monosyllabic, syllabic.
Games as a service.
Stop.
All right. Let's move to
Arma.
Let's not stop and let's move to that's what I meant to say. Move to our next quick bite. There is a reveal trailer for Silent Hill F that we got to look at well as yes, that's right, Dan. As well as some details from the Silent Hill transmission, which is Konami's little event that they held. Silent Hill F was first announced in 2022, and here we are almost 3 years later. We have some information behind it. So they showed this brand new trailer, which shows details including it will aim to find the beauty in terror and present players with a beautiful yet terrifying choice in 1960s Japan. The team wasn't ready to spoil what the decision would be, but it did unveil a bit of the story, and we'll leave it to Konami to set the stage. This is from IGN. Reading here their quote, Shimizu Hinako was living her life as an ordinary teenager, the official description reads. That is until her town is suddenly shrouded in fog and begins to change in a horrific way. Now she must explore a town she no longer recognizes while solving puzzles, fighting strange enemies, and doing everything she can to survive in order to face the ultimate decision that she must make. This is a tale about a beautiful yet terrifying choice. The new game will be an original story that will be a great place for new players to jump in, but there will be certain Easter eggs waiting for series veterans. Konami also discussed a few more details of the game, including that it will take place in the fictional Japanese town of Ibisuguaku. Guaka? Fuck me, I don't know. Ibisuguaku. Guaka. Fuck me, I tried it again and still went poorly. There you go. Which is based on a real place called Kaniyama. That's much easier. Can we just call it Kaniyama? Jero in the Gifu Prefecture. Also, character and creature design presented a message that should excite fans as it teases what horrors await them in Silent Hill F. Are we excited for this?
So I watched the transmission, and I was both excited and disappointed. Nearly 3 years later, I think doing a nearly 1 hour direct for just a 2-minute CG trailer was kind of a bummer, especially with no release date, and no deep dive into some of the things they talk about was kind of a letdown. You can do this trailer and then do very small windows of what we can expect with them talking, and I think it would have been a much stronger presentation. Kind of failed in that regard. But what I found really interesting is that they brought out a couple of people behind this. They brought out Ryukishi, the writer. They brought out Akira Yamaoka. They announced that he's working on the music. He's part of the music. There's another composer. They have 2 composers. And they talked about hey, what does Silent Hill mean? What do you think is the point of Silent Hill? And they talked about that for a couple of minutes before they got dove deep into F. And they all gave the answers that I think are really interesting, and talked about what they bring to the game to emphasize that. I'm okay, they have some talent that gets it in that regard, and that is exciting. And I think the choice to make this centered around this schoolgirl in 1960s Japan, I think is going to make some really interesting horror, particularly with she's got a pipe, and I'm sure she's not finding fucking guns around 60s Japan, because there's no guns in Japan really, and it's also less ubiquitous than for sure in the 60s. So I think probably we're going to get de-emphasized combat, that it's going to make for a specific kind of horror where you're going to be confronting them and kind of powerless in front of them. I think is going to make for something that's interesting. So I'm excited in that regard. I still think Silent Hill Townfall is the one I'm more excited about from No Code, but this could be cool.
Very cool. I'm ready to be scared. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. All right. People Can Fly have officially agreed to a deal with Sony for a game using Sony IP. The codename is Project Delta. And of course, People Can Fly is already working with Xbox on Gears of War E-Day with the Coalition. So they're taking a little bit of bread from both sides of the side of the fence there, Just eating good over there. People Can Fly. I don't know. Interesting that they're working on a Sony IP though. I wonder what this is.
Is this this isn't the new studio they just formed, is it?
No. People Can Fly made Gears of War Judgment back in the day. They made Bulletstorm, and stuff like that.
I don't know if you guys saw this, but Sony also has a new studio that a new first-party studio they made this week. Dark Outlaw Games, and the studio head is Jason Blundell, who you might recognize from Call of Duty.
That's interesting because he had a studio and was working with Sony, and that studio closed. That's interesting.
He's got another one.
Huh. What was the name of the studio that he had before? Forget. Gosh dang it. They had signed a deal with Sony to make a multiplayer game, and then the studio closed. Forget what the name of the studio was. It wasn't Fire Sprite, right?
I don't know.
I don't freaking remember. I don't know. Yeah, that's interesting though. I hadn't even seen that. All right. God of War, the Amazon series, has already been greenlit for 2 seasons, and showrunner Ronald D. Moore is talking about it. We're very excited about that. No, we haven't even seen anything from it yet. I feel like this is kind of anymore. It's like a television studio is like, if we make 1 season, we might as well make 2 because we're already fucking producing all these props and set designs and everything that go for the show. So unless the show completely blows up, then I get like in terms of like explodes, like does terrible, not like blows up as in does good. But it is interesting that we're already getting 2 seasons and we haven't even seen a single second from it.
And then did you hear the quote from the showrunner?
Oh no.
Okay, Roaz. So yeah, so they in an interview he talked about how he's not a gamer or whatever.
Oh no.
So they asked about, have you tried playing the God of War games? And he says, I've tried. I mean, I'm not a gamer. I took a stab at it, but I grew up in the arcade era where you can go down and put your quarters in and bang on the buttons. I can do that. I'll play Defender or Asteroids. Sure, bring it on, baby. But the controller is now press R1. Which one's R1? Oh, I'm dead. And like, I don't know, man. Not that you need to be a gamer to, I think, make a faithful adaptation. Those kinds of things are subjective. But I think you should have like some kind of appreciation for the medium, other than like, I don't know, fuck this. It's not an arcade game, so this is beyond me. Like, I don't know. I feel like maybe we get people who are a bit more passionate about this specific medium before we sign them on for 2 seasons of a super expensive TV show. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah,
That's fair.
I've seen enough video game adaptations now where I kind of disagree, where I'm like, I feel like there's a correlation between people who appreciate the source material and good quality adaptations.
For sure.
Every video game adaptation we've seen where the creatives have said, no, I haven't played the games, or I don't think it's necessary to play the games. Those are the ones that are like, not great.
Mm. Yeah. At the very least, like, have an appreciation for the fucking the thing you're adapting. Don't just like shit on the medium and say like, you know what I mean? Like, that to me, it's unnecessary negative press now.
If you can't sit through the God of War games, what makes you the person right for the job?
To make the thing, yeah,
right,
exactly.
It's really that simple to me, yeah.
Which is why Borderlands is good. The movie.
Oh God, we're gonna get. To
I don't
that.
think Eli Roth plays video games. I'm sorry.
We're gonna get to.
No, but Randy was there.
Oh my God, yes, that's true. Yeah, and Randy doesn't fucking know what Borderlands is very clearly. Yeah, we're gonna get there in a second though with Randy. But the studio that I was trying to remember, Deviation Games, they had announced a partnership with PlayStation. They were founded in 2021. Never showed what their game was or what the title was, and they closed in March of last year. So interesting that they're bringing a brand new first party with him at the helm after they closed his studio. I don't quite understand that, but all right.
What a healthy industry we have.
Right.
Adaptations where people don't fucking play the games and studios closing before their game ships. That's awesome.
Yeah. It might happen again. It's just it's like living history again. All right. we're doomed to repeat it. A group of cross-discipline video game workers have announced a first direct join union in North America, known as United Video Game Workers, organizing with Communications Workers of America. So good news, hopefully, for game developers on the way. If people can start banding together and standing up to corporate greed. All right. And we have news that Game Informer may be making a comeback of some kind, as they are teasing on Twitter with a video of a laptop with their last message that they wrote, saying farewell. But they have a little teaser at the end that says March 25th, 2025. So next week, we're getting something, Game Informer. So hopefully they're not owned by GameStop anymore. I'm assuming somebody bought the rights to Game Informer and they're going to spin it off.
That'd be huge, man.
Would be huge. NetEase's Game Informer.
Stop.
Just kidding. Just kidding. All right, now we've made it to the point of Randy is a fucking moron. He posted. I'm only including this in here just to shit on Randy. I just want to make that clear. There was no purpose to have this in the show other than to shit on Randy. Randy posts on Twitter, interesting, with a little fucking one of those Randyisms where he's like, man, this is actually pretty good. And everyone thought it was shit, but it's actually pretty good. He's referencing a Game Rant article that basically is saying that the Borderlands movie was not great, but then it's done really well in streaming services right now, and it's actually doing better than what we anticipated. And like somehow that fucking attributes in Randy's head that the fucking movie's good. It's not good. It's fucking the worst movie I've ever seen, Randy.
It is pretty bad. Go ahead.
I feel like as somebody who's seen the movie, I should, have some input here. There was something that stuck out to me when Christian and I were watching it, and it was about like 30 minutes in, and Christian goes, "Is this real?"
Yeah.
Oh man,
I did say that. I did. Yeah, it was,
and not as a joke. You were like genuinely asking.
It was the tail end of the they're on Pandora and they're having that like fight in that like junkyard, and then like Janina Gavankar shows up in like this like flying CGI thing, and then
in her Spy Kids theater.
I did say that. Is this real? I couldn't tell.
I wish
I
it
feel bad
wasn't.
for Janina Gavankar, man. She probably thought this was it. This is gonna launch her into the mainstream.
Yeah.
Oh. No, I don't need to say this. Okay, I one time broke through the Matrix. I had a gummy before I went to go see. Gosh, I think this was Infinity War, opening night, and none of it looked real. Like I could see the CGI, and like the acting was like all of it was like, oh god, like I can see the movie being like made on screen. Like I can see it all. Is this bad? Yes. And then the gummy started wearing off, and I was like, this is hidden. Infinity War is kind of sick.
Gage.
But for a moment, I saw it was real.
Fucking Gage saying it was bad. Get out of here, Gage.
No, Infinity War is good.
That was the peak of the fucking MCU.
I agree with that. It was the peak of the MCU.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It peaked at a fucking 6 out of 10, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. All right, let's move into the last quick bite here. The last quick bite, I threw this in here because I saw this video with Jack Quaid pitching IGN in an interview, and I was like, this sounds fucking bomb. He's pitching. Sorry, that was a reference to Garrett. Not Garrett. Well, not Garrett.
No,
but,
it is a reference to Garrett.
It is Garrett. Yeah.
Oh my god.
He's pitching a BioShock TV show and wants it to take place in 2 different time periods. The game as we know it, so, normal Rapture, and High Rapture, which takes place at kind of the peak and the onset of Rapture as a city, with all these characters that we love, like Frank Fontaine and Andrew Ryan and all of them. And it sounds fucking awesome. I'm in for this. That sounds sick. Somebody do this, please. I want it.
They'll
AI.
hire a writer and a creative director that have never played the games, but they know arcades. They've played Pac-Man.
Or let's just let Jack Quaid be involved. He seems to be interested in BioShock. Yeah. There you go. All right. Let's jump into the fantasy draft check-in. So, of course, Assassin's Creed Shadows released to an 81 on OpenCritic, as we talked about before, which gives me 11 points. Let's go.
Which reminds me, I was going to text Gage this. I thought about it in the shower the other day, and then I forgot. Yes, I do think about Gage in the shower. Pretty often. Dude. You tell me to make a Jeopardy board for April, Kentucky. We'll bring the sauces, dude. We'll munch. Say that won't be bomb, huh?
That sounds like a good idea.
That's bomb.
Or you can just make them yourself, and we can do it on webcam. Doesn't matter.
All right. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. What you were continuing?
I'm just saying, but IRL hot wing sounds like a fucking bomb idea. A little beer after? I don't know. I don't know.
That does sound
Jeopardy? Come on now.
Come on now. We also have one pickup by Rose Devil, which is, of course, Christian's team, and he acquired Hell Is Us with a bid of $3.
I'm taking a chance on it. We'll see.
That's the Souls-like with the exploration, like
character action game with exploration focused.
Very interesting.
They did like a 3-minute like gameplay trailer thing recently, and I was like, you know what? I feel like this give me a couple of somewhere around the 10 plus or minus 5 points. Could be.
So, with that being said, let's run through the points. Gage is still holding firm in first place with 42 points, 3 games released. Dan has jumped Roe and is now in second with 41 points with also 3 games released. Roe is in third with 38 points and also 3 games released. And Christian is in dead last. Of course, he's only had 1 game release for 16 points.
Hi. What did Gage drop? What was there? There's something in the middle there.
I think it was.
That was last week.
Oh, Football Simulator.
Yeah,
Football Manager.
Yeah, that was a.
Did I drop Assassin's Creed Shadows? Or no, you picked it up.
No, I picked it up. Yeah, that was last week's. Last week's episode was me talking about that and beating Christian in Expedition 33.
I jumped the gun. What I did was I dropped the Outer Worlds 2, I think.
No, it's still there.
No, you canceled it, remember? Because I told you it wasn't canceled. You canceled your drop when I said I fucked up. Because, yes, I forgot to tell people that I fucked up last week, and I thought that, for some reason, my brain thought that Outer Worlds 2 was delayed already. I still think there's a chance it gets delayed because, I mean, Avowed just came out, and that game got delayed. I think there's a chance that it gets delayed, especially if Grand Theft Auto 6 releases this fall. So, we'll see. I really hope it doesn't come out, because if it does, I'm fucked. I mean, I'm fucked. I thought I could release a counter pick, but you can't. It doesn't let you.
Yeah, I was right. You dropped Football Manager 2025 because they fucking canceled it this year.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Sorry.
It really feels awesome.
You feel awesome.
All right. That is our fantasy draft check-in. Let us go into what you got for me. Dan. Well, the only thing I have is we played a game over the weekend called Repo, and we had some fun. That was a fun-ass game. It's kind of like the same vibes as Lethal Company, where you're trying to collect items to progress through to the next mission and so on and so forth. However, I think there's some more interesting pieces in this game, which I'm sure you guys would agree. Like, when we're grabbing this one item that makes all of our voices super low pitched, and it's really funny. But yeah, this game's another
Your voice. Your voice.
your voice.
I love you guys.
Yeah. Very, very fun game.
Kind of the underdog system in this game, I think, is the fucking text-to-speech.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
The text-to-speech makes your character speak what you write, and then depending on if you're crouched or not, it'll come out like either whispered or not, which I think is super funny.
Yeah. I think it's also just really smart for like a game that if you're making a game like this that revolves around proximity chat and communication, to put in a feature like that for somebody who maybe doesn't have a microphone, or like the barrier to entry to play the game how it wants to be played has been lowered by doing this, which is not only does the text to chat sound funny on its own and is memeable to the nth degree, but also for player accessibility is a really cool thing to do. I think a couple weeks ago, I don't know if we were talking about Lethal Company, but we might have been talking about some sort of maybe it's longer than a couple weeks ago. So one of these games that we buy and we try, and it has a really interesting concept. Like, this is kind of the proof of that, where like you can have a game like Lethal Company come out that has a really interesting, fun gameplay idea, and not only does it do it well, but like it'll sort of light the fire, and then another indie will come, and like Repo, and it'll take those existing foundations and it'll add its own innovative spin on it, and then something might come along that's even I'm going to use layman's terms better, even though it's not that simple, but something might come along that's better than Repo in like a year or two, and then you kind of get this kind of self-sustaining indie innovation that just keeps going forward, and I'm definitely here for it.
Hell yeah. And sometimes influences AAA, like BattleBit we were talking about last week, influencing Battlefield a little bit.
For sure.
All right, Ro, what you got for me, Ro?
I've just been playing a little bit more of Everhood 2, but nothing outside of that. Really enjoying the gameplay and exploring, talking to all the characters, cool story. Yeah, nothing more to report than what I said about it last week, but it's going good so far.
We just need to hold you hostage and make you play Repo with us and Split Fiction when we do two duos to play Split Fiction, and
you'll never catch me.
Yeah. Well, we'll catch you one way or the other.
Okay.
It may not be legal, but we'll catch you.
Jesus
Christ. We'll arrest you and make sit you in front of the TV with a controller and say you need to play with us. Just kidding.
I'll take it.
Christian? What you got?
First of all, Gage is right. Heroes of Hammerwatch 2 is by far the game of the year frontrunner, I think. That game is incredible. Were I not moving this weekend, I think I'd be jumping back in with Gage. Well, I'm not gonna keep ranting about that game. That game is actually fucking awesome. Good ass game. A spin-off of apparently a spin-off of like an existing title called Hammerwatch 2, which is like it's an indie RPG, like a old school RPG. They took the criticism from that game, opened up the workshop for it, and they're like, all right, you fuckers have fun. We're gonna work on the next thing, and they released this roguelite, and it's incredible. Repo is amazing. I'm going to speak really quick about two things. First of all, the spring sale is going on Steam. Don't forget, Buckshot Roulette is less than $3 US. So if you boys want to get in on that, $2.50 will get you Buckshot Roulette. Think about it. And then also, Gage and I played 3 hours of Ale and Tail Tavern. And all I'll say about it is surprisingly very comfy. Is it shovelware? Maybe. Who knows? Probably. But is there parts of the game that kind of works, and is it kind of fun, and does it get me like the scratch of like a plate up of like building this restaurant with your buddies? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's all I'll say about it.
We're comparing Ale and Tail to Played Up.
Oh, obviously one's better than the other. I'm not
Okay.
going to dispute that. But I'm just saying, you
All
get the
right.
same kind of feeling of, you open up a restaurant with your friends, of course, there's some similarities there in terms of like satisfaction that I get. I'm fucking going outside and planting corn so I can come in and boil it. And because somebody, we get more money from boiled corn than we do from porridge, obviously, because porridge is like the basic thing. And engaged over their fucking, brewing beer. And fucking a customer gets drunk and Garrett has to get out his broom and whack them so that they leave the table so that we get more customers in. There's something to it.
Why do we enjoy all these games that make us do manual labor?
It's true. It's true.
What is happening here?
Because, real life is really hard and it's shitty, and sometimes it's nice to go back to basics like this,
Do you know what the sad thing is? Is that I feel the reason why I find these games so fun is that I get rewarded more in these fake games doing this fake job than I get for doing the real work that I do in the real life.
Gage,
go be a farmer. That's what I want you to do. Go be a farmer.
You know what? You buy me a tractor? You saying that Prindle Farms has got openings?
No, There's no Prindle Farms.
Uh-huh.
There's no Prindle Farms.
There's no war in Bossing Say. No, right, Ron?
Got that reference.
Gage, what do you have for me, sir?
A lot of the same as these handsome gentlemen. I played Repo, and that is it tickles just the right part of my brain that I think it's the funniest thing that has ever existed, and I can't stop thinking about it, and it's great, and I love it. I don't know how long it'll last, but I just, like I said, there's just something about the voice modification and the proximity chat, and I think it's a very fun little game.
The fact that items are physical objects in the world, and like if they can take damage and decrease their value.
Again, coming up with a core system, which is a physics-based loot extraction system, and then everything in the game is in one way or another pointed towards that system and enhancing that system, and then not worrying about anything else. There's no emotes, there's no skins, there's no this, there's no that. It's just, here's the game system that we've designed. Go have fun with it. So nice and simple. Ale and Tail shovelware is quite the compliment. But it is fun. It is cozy and it's fun. I won't deny that I had fun with it. I don't know if 4 people is the max. I think it might be 6-player co-op. I don't know, but it definitely was fun, and it was cozy while we were playing it. But how you felt during Infinity War is exactly the experience I was having at Ale and Tail. And I was having it from moment one, and I think you're right, we played it for about 3 hours. I don't think it was until like the 2-hour mark that I actually said something. But like, I was feeling it like 30 minutes in. I was like, wait a minute. This looks like a bunch of assets just placed around. It doesn't actually seem like a coherent game that was made by somebody. So there's that. I think it's comfy. I'd love to get Dan in on it and see how he feels about it. And then Heroes of Hammerwatch 2, man. Like you said, it's crazy to find out that this is a spin-off. This is an indie spin-off of another indie game, and I'm playing it, and I'm like, wow, this is my front runner for Game of the Year as well. Like, it's just, the game design is it's so focused. The combat feels smooth and tight, which is funny because it has like this old school retro vibe and comfy feel to it. But like the combat, dashing in and out and using your combos is like super smooth and kinetic and feels great. So yeah, Heroes of Hammerwatch 2, big shout out to that. It's I can't stop thinking about it. I wish you weren't moving. Just stay, dude.
Oh my god, you want me to play some more?
Just so we can play some more Heroes of Hammerwatch 2.
I have an idea, Gage. While he's moving, we fucking play It Takes Two.
We will, Dan. This weekend we're gonna crush it and get rid and just fucking.
We're gonna play.
Actually,
we're gonna play one mission, and you're gonna be like, "Let's go play the finals."
Dude, I played with him this weekend. Fucking nightmare, Dan. They put me in fucking ranked. I just started playing the game again. They threw me in fucking rank. What was I supposed to do? Huh?
You said you're gonna burn.
I had fun giggling with you and Sheldon about our real life while we played the finals.
That's true.
The moment we went back from like doing tournaments to like the casual mode, what was it? Starts with a P, doesn't it? Power shift.
Yep.
I immediately started having fun again. It's like, oh, cool. I can just kind of.
I was, to be fair, you say they. I also was not a fan of doing ranked tournament, but
okay.
You can only push back so much until you got to give into the wave that is Sheldon.
But Gage, it was
a lot sweaty.
It's a lot calmer. It's a lot.
It's more relaxing.
Yeah. That's what he said about the slopes. What did he say that the skills?
Well, yeah, we got to do trick mode. We got to show him trick mode. It's more relaxing.
It's more relaxing.
When that game gets
starting every jump because I didn't get it quite right. This is so relaxing, dude.
When that game gets an update and they add more tracks, we got to jump back in.
Absolutely.
That game was fun.
Also, yeah, it is very fun. And also a recommendation from Sheldon to give credit where credit's due. He recommended that to us. Also, I feel like this is going to be the one episode he decides to chime in on, and it's just all of us fucking shitting on him, and he's going to be like, I'm not watching your stupid podcast anymore.
You know what? That's one episode, Sheldon. Go watch the rest where we praise you.
We do. Every week we say how good you are.
Exactly. All right.
Donut.
That is it. That is the show. And thank you again to everyone joining us live on YouTube and Twitch, as well as podcast services everywhere, including Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, and everywhere else you get your podcasts. Thank you, Christian, for that bowl cut there. Thank you, Ro. Thank you, Gage. I am Daniel, and this has been Podcast PXN, and we are out. Much love, and keep on gaming.
See ya.
I was about to do the Ro impression, but he did it. He did it organically.
I did.
Ro does the best Ro impression.
He does, dude.